All right, as heavy fighting ramps up in Ukraine following the start of their counteroffensive, pro-Russian hackers have been busy hitting targets in Ukraine and across the rest of the world. Here at home, several U.S. federal agencies, including the Department of Energy, were compromised, but it wasn't a major impact on our infrastructure. Joining us now is the founder of Campaign for Fair Finance, Dr. Roger Gewolb, along with the former Moscow and Paris correspondent for the Wall Street Journal, Craig Copetas, and we, of course, have our special guest with us, Thane Rosenbaum. Craig, I want to kick it off with you. How serious a threat?
Very serious. The threat continues. The reality of Russia right now is not for the squeamish or the diplomatic. It's going to get worse and worse. It's a long story. It's a complicated story, but we've gone to illusion, from illusion to fantasy, into what's now a world of Putin's delirium, affecting everyone from Ukraine to those of us who live here in Europe and, of course, in the United States. It's a serious threat. It's going to continue for a long time to come.
And Dr. Gewolb, to Craig's point just there, this is all part of a global hacking campaign that exploited a vulnerable part of a file transfer software that's used by many around the globe. What can you tell us specifically about this hack, and how worried should Americans be right now concerning infrastructure?
This hack was not a major one, as was just said. This was conducted by a criminal gang that happens to be in Russia, and U.S. government officials are still maintaining that they can't find any connection with the Russian government on this one. This was an opportunistic hack, not targeted at any particular entities, Kilmeny. It was, as you say, a file transfer that's very popular called Move It, which is used by everything from the Department of Energy to the Louisiana Motor Vehicle Department to hospitals to private businesses. It was very random. It was opportunistic. It was not like the Russian intelligence agent carried out SolarWinds hack, which was a giant thing planned for a very long time. So this was very low scale and did not do any serious damage to the U.S. government entities. But we certainly can expect much more of both the high level and this low level sort of thing.
And Craig, do you believe that this is yet another escalation tactic by Russia that we're seeing against the West, and perhaps retaliation for the United States' involvement in the war in Ukraine?
You're looking at it through a Western prism, Kilmeny, which I've always think is dangerous to look at Russia through a Western prism. Russia, since the 90s, since Putin took power at the end of 1999, has been on a roll to create mischief in the West. Now, this will continue. Your other guest is correct from what I've read. This is a very minor league hack as such, but it's all part and parcel of a larger plan. And no such hack could take place by the Russians unless it had the authorization of the Kremlin. To think that this is an independent, lone wolf, rogue operation would be foolish.
All right. Craig and Dr. Gewolb, quickly here. President Biden is obviously pleased to see the alliance of NATO beginning to grow larger after Finland became the newest member back in April. However, Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says that there's no change in their position on allowing Sweden to join the alliance. Obviously, he's just been reelected. Dr. Gewolb, your quick thoughts.
Well, it's a tough one, but I don't approve of a lot that Mr. Erdogan says and does, but I kind of understand him here, because Finland and Sweden remained neutral for many, many, many years. They didn't want to join the party, and then as soon as Russia invaded Ukraine, they wanted to join. And Erdogan, I think, is kind of reasonable in saying, but Sweden, you've got to clean up your act and be stricter, despite free speech, with your homegrown terrorists. We don't want those people around you if you're going to be part of us. And I kind of go with him on that.
Craig, final thoughts.
My understanding of the situation is the individuals Erdogan has tapped as terrorists in Sweden are terrorists nowhere else in the world except in the mind of Tayyip Erdogan.
All right. Craig Copetas, short and sweet. Thanks for wrapping it up. All right, Craig Copetas, good to see you. Dr. Gewolb, thanks for being here. Thane Rosenbaum sticking around. We'll have much more Saturday agenda when we return.